that every Wolverine and every Buckeye was here rooting for him, and that we would, in his honor, have a great night this evening and raise money. And you know, what's so neat about this event is the people here recognize that we've got to make sure that we maintain our local history, because it's so important for the youth to understand and be reminded of and have illustrations of the greatness that has come right from this soil, that they can look and see evidence that you can be born here and raised here and do extraordinary things here, whether it be in sports or in business or whatever it happens to be in. And so to have a chance to come and help out the Warren Hall of Fame and be with the good folks here. And I'd always heard of this event and how people had fun barbing back and forth together, and so finally have a chance to come here, and made it even more special the fact that one of our local Warren Howland products, Doug Daddish, is here this evening, and his more by hand for Doug. Michigan game, you could see that there was just a little bit of something in his eyes that I'm sure he was wondering, gosh, you know, yeah, I could have played in that game. Or he was a Paul Brown fanatic, even through all those years that Paul was at the Cleveland Browns and my dad was at Baldwin Wallace. They were very, very close. He was a Woody Hayes guy. I've told the story many times that my dad's last 2 or 3 days on this earth, one day Woody Hayes showed up, sat down and talked with him for 3 hours because one of my dad's players was at a luncheon Woody was speaking at, happened to ask about my dad. The player said he's not doing well. He said, let's go see him. My mom came back into the room. He hadn't been able to talk much at all in those last few days. He woke up and he said to my mom, Coach Hayes was here. So I can assure you that my early remembrances of what Ohio State meant to my family and what that Ohio State-Michigan game meant, just something special. Just you remember those times you get with your parents. The thing about that first one that you're in, it really, by the time the first quarter was over, I kind of snapped out of it and went to work and so forth. It was too late, we lost it anyway, but it was an amazing experience. And then the first one at home in 1984 was a whole nother thing. The Ohio State-Michigan game when you're at home, and it's senior day, and all of the things that emotionally go along with that. Incredible. Well, then we had a chance to come here at YSU and spend 15 unbelievable years, and Ricky, I wasn't going to say anything, but I think if we did a straw poll, Ohio State fans might be 1 here tonight. YSU might be 2. And you know, you're just thinking, it's just you know, an unofficial survey, but you guys are at least 3rd. I'm sure Bo and Lloyd and all those guys said to you guys what we said to Doug and all those guys. In the Ohio State-Michigan game, every yard is worth 2. 5 is worth 10. Every time you have a missed assignment, it's worth 2. If you would have a turnover, that's like having 2. The stakes are high. All these guys would tell you it's the cleanest game, it's the toughest game, and it's the game when you walk off the field, whether you played, coached, or just cheered, that it's like, wow, was I lucky to be a part of this. And I echo what Ricky said about Coach Hanlon. I was excited to get up here. Boy, Coach Hanlon, he would have been a little rougher on me than you were. Coach Hanlon is hard now. Special guy. Youngstown Ursuline guy. Special guy. And we should remember he and his wife this evening as we count our blessings, and it's a tough moment in their lives. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be on stage with my man Ricky. Rob, I guess they got some questions?
Yes, Coach.
Making sure that you keep it in perspective. Because of the media attention and the visibility and you know, the zillion-dollar contracts for the, you know, minuscule number, it gets a little bit out of whack. And I worry a little bit about the college game from the time I started in 1975 to now, because of the amount of time we're asking the student athlete to invest in competing for that golden goose. When I started at Ohio State as an assistant, our players went home for the summer and got summer jobs and learned how to do things like that. And we brought them back one day in July at a midsummer 12-minute run test. And then they went back out and were on internships and did jobs and all those kinds of things. And we asked a little bit less of them. And they therefore gained some experiences outside of football. And I worry sometimes, not just football, I mean, you look at the all-year-round volleyball, all-year-round soccer, all-year-round baseball, traveling teams, this, that, so forth. Are we not preparing our young people for the rest of their lives? Because you're only going to be able to play volleyball so long. You're only going to be able to play football so long. And so I would just say, you really need to keep it in perspective. And you better pay attention at school and see if you can have a little bit of balance in your life.
It's only close when it counts, okay? It only counts when it's close in horseshoes and hand grenades. Doesn't matter. But honestly, though, wow. Well, I didn't see the game. Of course, you know, it's funny. I was coaching, we had a Saturday game, and man, my fans are like brutal, okay? And I think we were losing at halftime, so they were even more brutal. And I heard somebody yell from the stadium, from the stands. This is crazy. It's a high school game. Man, you guys aren't doing anything on this field, and that's why Michigan's losing. And you know, it's funny. I'm walking out of the stadium. I'm like, they are? And I'm looking at one of my coaches and say, they're playing after you, right? It's like, yeah, it's like they're losing. So yeah, I mean. But you know what? That's what's happening to the game, though. I mean, any given Saturday, man, it really is that way now. It's starting to get there, and it's getting tougher and tougher to win. You know, and you can ask Coach Tressel this, man. I know a lot of those Big Ten schools want to kind of stay away from the MAC because those guys can surprise you. So you got to be careful.
Coach, the thing on the campus when that game took place?
Well, you know, I happened to be watching a 5th grade game that day, and my phone was blowing up. And I got asked often after the game, did you help those guys? And I told most anyone that asked that, if I would have helped those guys, they'd have gone up and lost by 45 points. So I had nothing to do with that game, and, you know, it was an exciting game, and I didn't really even see the finish, but, you know, I ended up on the 1 or 2 yard line or something, and you know, it was a great experience for our kids from Akron, you know, to have gone up there and played toe-to-toe, and I think it gave a little confidence to improve as we've gone through the year. But, you know, you're only 2 or 3 fumbles or interceptions away from anybody beating you. So if people talk about, well, what's it going to be this year in the game? And I always say, well, tell me how we're going to play. I really believe if we play to our ability, Ohio State will decisively be successful. If we don't play like we're capable of playing, who knows? If Michigan plays how they could play, it's going to be a battle. If they don't play as well as they're capable, and they lay it on the ground a couple times, it'll go our way. So, as Ricky says, this game, you're only a couple turnovers and a couple mistakes away from being humble.
Thank you, Coach. Again, nice round.